Cool, we're on it. All right. Welcome everyone. This is TVP UK. We've got myself, Mick, David, and Adam on board today. We're going through our TROM educational series. Today's sections we're doing 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, which is the monetary system, documents, and education systems. So we've all watched these videos beforehand. You can find them all on tromsite.com. Should have links around in documents and events if anyone's watching this. So that's cool. Let's get on with it. Alright, monetary system. What did I write about that? Did anyone have any, like, Adam, Mick, you guys watched this. Do you have any immediate questions from that section?
I can't really remember it because you know, we did that last week, and
Yeah.
I've only watched documents, education, and motivation this week. But thinking about it, like, money is just a concept, right? Yeah. Like it's an idea, like God is an idea, and the only things that are tangible about money is something like metal and some metal coins and some paper notes that really just give us access to trade. But if we remove them, we've still got the things necessary to live, like the technology that we've got to create everything in abundance, heat, light, shelter, and the monetary system that we've got in place now is just a scarcity-driven system, so it's pretty crap.
I think what's interesting about the monetary system is actually like how many people actually buy into it. Like, well, I mean, obviously it's been a fiat currency since, you know, Nixon went a gold standard, and everyone seems to just go on believing that this payment is seemingly worth something. Like, if they can get enough of it, then they can win the game on it. And it's like, that's it's devoid from reality. It just really, it kind of stifles us really, because people can say stuff like, oh well, like, you know, fusion power or like wind power, that's not economics. You can't invest in that. When really economics is actually just based on like an abundance of a material. So, like in creating an industry and following that through, you actually create the infrastructure in order to be able to drive the price down of said you know, products. So it's really interesting how people are just locked in a cage for no apparent reason.
Yeah. David, sorry, could you just try and turn your speakers a little bit further away? Just getting a little bit of feedback. Sorry, Joe.
So I'll turn it down again a little bit. It's just because a couple of the guys are a bit quiet and you're a bit loud.
Okay. And you can actually open up Toolbox and change people's volumes independently if you want to. Okay, sorry.
Going back to it.
What was that, David?
No, as long as you guys can all hear me, it's not a big deal. It's all good.
Yeah.
But turning monetary and the education, but the money especially, we've all been born into it and we've been raised into it, so we know no different. It's like, you know, a child that's raised in any form of culture, it's what they accept as normal. It's only when people start thinking for themselves rather than following what the education system does promote that they start to realise that the system they live in isn't real. It is, you know, it's a fake economy, and it doesn't actually promote anything good, really. Sorry, I'm losing where I was going with it, but you get what I mean.
I think your point's good. I think the educational system is actually really good in turning people off from education. Does that really well?
Yeah.
Well, it is better suited to be calling an indoctrination centre, but it's because, you know, if there's any real truth to the Prussian system, then there's a lot of evidence to prove that it is all out in for indoctrination, not education, which is the big point, you know.
I think the dogma of people believing that we can't survive without money, that's what I think we're stuck on. And money is a big distraction because, like you say, we're brought up in it, and this system is really based on that money, so we're stuck for trying to get away from it without I don't know, maybe an economic collapse or something.
It's this like completely invisible like conduit that everything in our society goes through. Like it restricts so much stuff. Like it's just like a rubber band on like a hose or something. Just some sort of analogy like that, where everything has to go through this tiny little bit, and the things that don't go through that you're told aren't like. I don't know. There's a weight on the things that you buy compared to the things that you get free. Like no one is like grateful for the air they breathe. It's just what they breathe.
Yeah.
And you're taught to like respect and like the things that you buy more than the things that you can get for free.
Yeah, which is fucking. I'm trying to turn that on its head now. Like a lot of people say, you've got to do something special for your birthday, but does that mean you've got to spend money?
I think one kind of like interesting thing on money as well is who is it? I think it was what was I've forgotten what I was going to actually quote when I was trying to remember what it was. But basically, oh yeah, Peter Joseph in his what is it, the really long 2.5 hour one.
Zeitgeist,
Yeah, but he did a lecture called Economic Calculation.
Oh yeah.
It's a really good one, tons of informational stuff. But he says that the economic system can't differentiate between needs and wants.
Yeah.
I think it can. Needs are a permanent supply. Like there is no permanent demand because it's 12 however many billion people on the earth will need a certain amount of food, and because there's that constant demand, their prices go up, and they can actually exploit needs much more than they can wants.
It's a clever way about it,
And it really needs to be the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is they can turn around and say, oh well, it's not economic to do, say push more into fusion power and stuff like that. I know the Venus project in Jacksonville, he's on about geothermal, which is equally just as good. But for me, fusion power is just going to completely radicalize the economy. The economy won't even look the same anymore once you eradicate the base need of energy. You can create anything from that for quite. You could have you can pretty much do anything. If you've got enough energy, you can do anything. Just stick an element in the sea if you really want to get some pure water from it, and just condense it again. It doesn't really matter how much energy you're using to do stuff like that anymore. Really simple methods.
You're talking about really creating an energy abundance.
Yeah.
Which is what it's entirely possible.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking the other day, why don't boats, when they go out to sea, have things that go up and down at the tide, and then just power themselves based on the waves that they go. That sort of kind of recyclative systems.
Yeah,
it won't take everything, but chuck a couple solar panels on top, and you'll be away.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of technology that could be rolled out quite easily if people deemed it to be economic. In inverted commas for the
An early document: technology stifles progress. No, money. Money stifles progress.
Definitely.
That's the one.
But then, really, I suppose at the back end of it, it's the will of the person with the money that really stops it. In actual fact. money is inherently, I suppose, neither good nor evil. It's just a mechanism of free will. So.
And I was thinking the economic genocide of 1 billion people because of this monetary system, the scarcity-driven system, is just to me the Mayans or whoever it was that used to sacrifice people for gods. It's the same dogmatic religious, like ridiculousness, like where
Kicking into
people
the
being
politics.
killed, like people are being killed, and we can fix this, so we don't need to kill people, but we're still doing it just because of this one concept, this thing that we made up.
Definitely. Hey, Christopher, you joined in a little bit late. Hello. Your mic is currently muted, so feel free to join in. I don't know. Hopefully it'll get sorted out. Oh, that's another good... Sorry, Mick.
Go on.
I was just... There's another good point in... Well, one point to finish what we've just been talking about. Yeah, in the thing is, like, money is only an invention. And we always forget that. It's always this imaginary invention. That's basically what we've just been talking about. Another one is, like, no ism is free of the monetary system.
Yeah,
This is something some guy just didn't understand the other day. We're having talked about, like, money-free ideas and stuff, and he was going on about how communism is a money-free system. And I was like, was it? I really didn't think it was, from what I understand of it. You had money, you had effective slaves, you had elitism, and all that stuff.
Yeah, essentially it had money and it had like the stamps in it, government stamps and stuff like that as well. So it's another form of currency, really.
It's something which a lot of people don't see. When they look at the Venus Project, they go, "Oh, isn't that communism?" I don't know why that's the default answer, but I think because I almost thought it as well. I think it might even be just because that is the default answer to something weird. That's what we're told to answer to something weird.
Yeah.
Just communism. Label it that, and then close your eyes. And again,
Still recovering from Jimmy Carter.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna do that.
Going on to documents.
All right. Just 1 sec. Sorry, David. No, Christopher. Sorry. So just figuring out if you want to unmute your mic. If you're looking for that, if you take your mouse and go to the top, there'll be a little bar that comes down. Should have a little mic button on or off. Or actually, I can unmute you from here, so I'll try that. Oh no, I can't unmute you. All right. Well, Christopher, feel free to chime in on the text if you have any questions and things. Ask them up. I'll help you out with technical stuff next time. Sound good? All right, Mick. Okay,
I was just going on to documents. I can see how they went over the legalese thing, didn't they? How we're given a name when we're born, but it's again it's a name that we don't agree to. We were given the name, and it's good for using things like the names used for medical records and stuff. But in this monetary system, it's bad because it can be manipulated, and like they did on the Real Hustle in the TROM video. There's so many ways that somebody gets your identification, and they are you as far as the bank or whoever is concerned, and you can get loans and credit cards. So, what happens to the names in the future? Like in an RB, which we still need names to like the medical records for ourselves and assign our personal preferences when we travel or whatever. But what names will we be able to choose our own names or what?
Well, I think it's hard to say really. I think we'd probably all be assigned a unique identifier. probably just a long stream of numbers, which is you and only you, for medical stuff, all that kind of thing. But that isn't your name. That's just, they kind of talk. Sorry? I heard something from someone. Not sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, it kind of talks a little bit at the end of this document thing about like identity in the future and how you're like you can have this electronic identity, but it's not you, and people don't misunderstand that. So you can have like this unique number, but it's just a completely random. Well, the one plus from the person who was born before you, probably. If we're going to do it like on a simple manner, just identify them so you have one constant identifier throughout your life. And then your actual known name would probably change throughout your life. My known name has changed throughout my life. Like, people used to call me Aid. And like now it's Aiden. And stuff like that. Like, more your kind of colloquial name. But from what Jacques was saying, it's very hard to understand like just how far I could go in this, because he was talking about, you might have a name that's AXZFD2Y, and then you have to basically look up the index of what that means and stuff like that. And that's kind of very hard for us to think. I like to think of it in some of the science fiction books I have. They have people who have very long formal names, which are basically someone born of someone from this place, of this planet, of this moon.
Like an address.
Yeah. And I don't know. I can't remember if family names were involved or not. I think family names might go for a very drastic change. But like that kind of very elongated address, and it could like in like the longest form, it would probably be like where you were born, where you actually live now, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like all that kind of informational stuff. But then there's also a really good story where there's this guy who was like a really good like gamer. Like he would like beat anyone in game theory kind of thing. Like he just could learn games and all this kind of stuff. And like he took on some name which meant the gamer, and like that was just kind of like his part of his name, almost like a doctor or kind of thing. Does that kind of make sense? So you might have someone who like has, I don't know, their interest is cycling and microscopes or something, I don't know, and you kind of include them in their name.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe we'd just have, like you said, the name that people identify by socially, and then like the big long address thing with the affixes and stuff that would be like the cosains. Like we wouldn't deal with it. The computers would have it updated and be able to see where we are, where we're traveling through, and just use that to identify us, like as preferences and stuff. Also with the legalese thing, like I can see how not giving value to your given name could be presented in court, but I don't see them, like where people say that the legalese where you can like wipe off your entire debt and stuff. I can see how like not giving value to your given names could be presented in court, but I can't see it working in court. You know what I mean?
No, not quite.
Like with your name, it's like you were given that name, and like.
You're talking about just sort of saying like all of those documents don't really apply to me because that's.
Yeah, because like they're written that's just a piece of paper and etc. But I mean, like you can present it to court, but because of the system, I don't think it'd work. You'd still be found guilty of doing like I don't know, forgery or like not paying your debts or etc.
I say the problem is where we are now. Like the courts aren't geared up to listen to that type of argument. The courts go, did you break this very specific rule? Yes. Go to jail. And that's all they care about. They don't care about any of the kind of environmental factors that go into it, any of the sob story, or everyone has their reasons. None of this is counted, and it's all designed to keep going with the set establishment of your name is you, like all this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how you just kind of like wake up in a world where it's like, all right, you're told this, and this is like as gospel by this country. It's like, well, if I was born in a different country, that would be different. And like, who said that? Like that applies to me as an individual. Like, I'm not condoning smoking crack, but if anyone wanted to do that, that's like not, you know, it's none of my business as long as I don't hurt anybody else. You know, as far as I'm concerned. So, life shouldn't be dictated by somebody in a suit that has a vested interest and essentially like takes bribes anyway. Like lobbying is essentially just bribing. Bribing.
Like, it's interesting with bribes is that where's the line? I think I bribed some of you guys here today. Like, it's very hard to kind of come down on these and what's okay, what's not, in a kind of legal framework, which is why the legal framework really struggles, because it deals in absolutes, but it's like the world isn't in absolutes.
Yeah, that's just probably the nature of the world.
Right, how about like alternatively in the future with names and stuff? I don't know. There's obviously going to be the name, but I don't know. I'm thinking kind of way off. There's no sign of corrupting factors, so it's all okay. We've all got like microchips or something like that, and we have like some sort of machine learning identity that's associated with us that can recognize our patterns of learning and what we're interested in, basically without us having to do any data. And then like you meet another person, you go, oh, hello, and then the things go beep, 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 interface, 70%, like this, or highlight your visual.
Like Match.com in real life.
Yeah, why not? You can have like a Google Glass, and it comes up and it goes, this person shares your interest in this, this, and this, and you can actually talk to them about that without having to go, oh, well, what type of music do you like? Getting through all this, like going through a list of things until you hit on something that you both like.
Yeah, but then as well, like the Google glasses on the woman's going to go, he likes your tits.
Yeah, where does that end? Yeah.
and well, I think, like exactly that behaviour isn't going to be accepted. The more open, the more sane society is. Like we shouldn't be going it. Like I don't think that like any system that encourages someone to go, I like someone because they're tits. It's not what we're about.
Sorry, I always love it done.
Documents. What else? There's something else in here. I don't know. Right, so anything else on documents apart from the other? Like we have kind of mentioned it. It's obviously really open to corruption system. You know what I mean? Very easy to falsify stuff. All that kind of nonsense. We talked about that. Education, then. This is the fun one, I think, today.
Yeah.
Well, I found it more interesting, but
yeah.
It's down to you guys. I think the first thing is this is something that I've always thought, like, why the hell do parents spend the first 6 years of kids' life, I don't know, that's an arbitrary number, telling them lies? Telling them fairy tales and all this nonsense, like.
Yeah.
And then you expect your kids when they grow up to like respect your opinion. And like it's something I never understood. I learned very early on that Santa wasn't real, and I was like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, when you say Santa's not real, and they go, what are you talking about? Of course he is.
Like, I asked my parents, and they're like, well, you know, we do it because you're like my brother's 3 years younger than me. Like he's still young enough. Don't break it for him. He's too young to like understand that you're teaching him bullshit. So he's listening to you. I don't know, I don't blame my parents for this. Like, everyone does this. We do it as a culture, and like Christmas is one, but everything.
I was going to say, like, do you think when it comes to education, the uniforms straight away, like, create a hierarchy and inequality? Um, and it's always through your life from, well, like, I was lucky, like, my infant school didn't do uniforms and my junior school didn't. But a lot of people now, like, the nurseries are doing uniforms. And it's like, why? Why do we need the uniforms? Just let them wear whatever they want to wear. And like I can kind of see when people make the similarities between like prisons and military and workplaces and schools because they've all got uniforms and as soon as they've got those uniforms it's to identify who's the teacher and who's the pupil, who's the manager and who's the worker, who's the prison guard and who's the prisoner. Who's the sergeant and who's the lieutenant. So and you can't question these people either. Every time you question these people, it's like you're in the wrong. You're never in the right. And we're told not to question these people all the way through school. And I've even had experienced teachers bully me because I pointed out that they were wrong in certain ways. But
Again, it's like, I don't know. There's some teach like I had a really good maths teacher who made 10 or 11, so I don't know what that was now. But like basically, she would allow us to bring in our music and actually play music, and like she would just break the rule a little bit, and it just made the whole thing so much better, so much more intriguing. Just to get out of that kind of authoritarian, get out of the silence, sit there and do your work in like shop and do stuff. Like I think the experiment that I've forgotten what his name is, the Indian doctor.
Oh no, the guy that does it on the TROM video.
Yeah. Where like why don't we allow kids to do exams with Google? Like, well, there was such a good quote. It was, what is it? Oh, it's on here somewhere. I wrote it down.
Is it the RTC platform?
I mean, I don't think you really particularly need the teacher anymore, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You can all be, like, say a kid wants to play his video games or something, or, like, the system unlocks after he passes certain, or does however many hours learning algebra or something.
Yeah.
Teachers null and void anymore if you roll out technology like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the guy in the video says that teachers in the future could become just like a coach, so when you do get stuck at the next level, so you can just say, what am I doing wrong? And that's like what I would prefer as well to school, to be able to go like, what am I doing wrong here? Whereas like they give you homework, send you home, and you can't ask your parents, they're not doing this subject, I've not learned that at school, because the system's changed, so I was stuck there not knowing what to do, and just threw it away. The dog said this.
The interesting thing, I guess, with allowing kids to go off and do it all themselves, getting Khan Academy in like schools and stuff, or not so much. I don't know. I was thinking more in the future that, well, there wouldn't be like school times where kids have to be there and that not. Whatnot.
Yeah, well, I don't think there really should be particularly any times when you have to do anything. Everyone works on a different clock. Like people are individual, even to the basis of when they want to wake up and go to sleep. So why are they, as long as they input into society in a way, that should be relevant.
I guess the question really, because like this is what my mum says, like especially about kindergarten or junior school, all that kind of stuff. Which is like, it's not about actually what you learn, it's about the context, the social stuff, getting along with other people, all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I was thinking of this more along the lines of kids will be home a lot of the time. They'll be doing things individually, all this kind of stuff. So where do they get this social side from? Or do kindergartens even like really give kids that social side?
yeah, like going out and playing is when you do the social thing. Learning, I struggle to learn with people. Like or like I can learn from somebody, but when it comes to learning something that I want to learn and I don't know somebody's not interested, I'm quite easily distracted. So I prefer to learn on my own or like directly with the teacher, because I just can't concentrate otherwise. So like for me, being the social aspect is just the playing, the creativity, the jamming out on the guitar, etc.
There's all that stuff. I think like my kind of answer to this also was, as kids start learning about more complex stuff and want to do like experiments and things like bigger kind of grander projects, they're gonna need other kids to collaborate with. Like you then like a lot of education stuff is forced collaboration. You're put into a group because you need to be in a group and blah 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 to do certain things. Whereas it should be on terms of, okay, well, I want to learn how to make a bridge, and we need 3 people so we can hold up this like a false kind of bridge kind of idea, and we need a couple of people. I don't know, something or other that requires participation from other people.
Like giving the children a set number of like I don't know a subject that they can learn and so many subjects around the room or whatever that they can just walk up to and choose one. And you know what I mean? Like if the child next to them wants to do that same subject, they can just change the subject that was next to that part. I don't know, like so that the children have got the option to learn what they want. And I don't know, there's no. It's not restricted. It's up to them. Like they do it how they want to.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think like you wouldn't even set tasks. Maybe like cause the education is going to be going on and doing what you want. But what I'm generally trying to say is that like once you get to a certain level, and I'm trying to think of a field or like I don't know, because kids won't really be going into one field just at a time. But you know, once you get into I don't know, say aerodynamics, once you get really into it, there's only so much you can do on your own. Like I think you're going to need a couple of people to come together to make a little paper, like a plane or something. You're going to need to at least interact with people to get materials. And, will you? Are we all going to be loners in the future?
Well, like you could always say like, oh, can somebody help me with this? And I think that's cool. Like, but I think if you notice when somebody tries to help you with something, but you're already doing it, and you feel like you don't need any help, it kind of frustrates you. But if you can go, oh, is anybody not busy? And they come along then and say, yeah, I'm not busy, and help you out. That's pretty cool. You know?
Yeah, that might well be it. The like almost a tutoring aspect.
Yeah.
Because I I love Ben McLeish's word learning out loud. I don't know if he actually invented it. Probably didn't, but I heard him say it first, so give him the credit. Yeah, like learning out loud. I think a lot of kids will be in that kind of system, and will be encouraged to, you know, if you learn something on a browser, like it might like encourage you to what that pyramid was, but just like reading about something was like down here, but actually teaching others about it was like up here on a degree of comprehension or something like that.
Yeah.
So, like getting kids to teach the other kids about it is really,
like the older
really
kids
good.
that have been learning for a long time teach the younger kids. I also had the idea that like in the future, like it'd be the parents of the child teaching the first child, and then like the parents of the oldest child teaching the next child. I don't know. We can just guess, speculate.
I don't know.
And
Like family structure in the future is gonna be interesting. Because I don't know. I think we attach too much to close family at the moment. It stops us from seeing that everyone is my brother and like everyone is my mother, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Like, I'm really trying to start thinking in this manner. Like, I saw some like 15-year-olds smoking outside their front door as I was walking home, and like I wanted to, I didn't because it would be socially horrendous, and I actually live near these people. But I wanted to say like, come on guys, like you're too young, or like I wanted to get involved, like there were kids of my own, if you know what I mean. I think we like if we can all kind of reach that level of respect for each other and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it possibly stems from going, we are our family, we are like we're hunkered in this house and it's us against the world kind of outlook.
yeah. Well, I think like as well. I don't think doing things separately there's anything wrong with that either. Like it being individual. Like I mean, you'll find that when I'm at my father's house, there'll be my dad watching the TV, my mum watching something on her laptop, me doing something on my laptop, my brother playing a game on his laptop, my sister playing on her phone. But then, like, there'll be pauses all the time, and we'll discuss things with each other, like that we've just been doing ourselves or whatever we've been watching or learning about. So it's, I think, if we're doing things individually, and then once we finish doing those things, we can talk to each other about them, and there's an interest there. And going to what Christopher just said, schools should teach interaction and more group work where the education subject makes everyone do group activities. I had a good idea. Well, I had an idea about why don't we try getting back to, you know, like in the olden days they had theatre, and they just grab any, well, they could call them actors, but I think anybody could like the older persons in the school or whatever could do the scripts or write out the story and then just say to a bunch of kids who wants to play this part in this drama group or this theatre group, and then each kid picks a role and then and does that part after the theatre, and then if there's any children left over, there's another play for them to do as well. So I think that'd be a good way. But it's the same with music. You could like ask somebody what they want to learn, which instrument they want to learn, and then try and get different people that they've got their own styles on the music as they get better, to jam with different people and see what works and what doesn't, and what sort of bands you can bring out of it. Be quite creative.
I've thought of like another thing the kids could do, and they're really like traveling. And, like doing expedition type work, and you know, going to Madagascar to see the forest like I'm doing and all that kind of stuff. Like, well, say we're right into this thing being a resource-based economy. Like the opportunities for collaboration expand massively, because you know a kid from Australia has no problem coming around to UK to like tomorrow or Wednesday to come and do something to you. There's nothing like with you. There's nothing like stopping his parents going, oh, it's dangerous and all that stuff, because all this kind of thing. So you get real, like you actually have 7 billion people that you can collaborate with. Not now, like and that's collaborate with in any form that is possible. Whereas now we can collaborate in very restricted forms because I can't afford to drive up to your houses every day, stuff like that.
I've got a question about the old education systems that we've been through. Do we think that that is because of people's disinterest with trying to learn about the resource-based economy? Because it's like people, I don't know, that are working now, well, anybody that's in work or past education, there's a lot of people that don't want to learn anything new. They're happy with the way the world is and comfortable, even though they know that like climate change is coming or technological unemployment's coming. They've got no desire to learn anything new. Do you think that's because of the education system we've been through, or because of the entertainment they've got?
Well, it's not 100%, but the education system plays a big role, I would say. My mum's tried to have this discussion. I was trying to explain some of these ideas, and I was like, like kids would learn things if you let them just go and learn stuff, like all that kind of stuff. And she was like, well, maybe you would. You're not normal. I'm like, yeah, I'm not normal because I've gone through the education and survived. Like the education system makes this normal person who just accepts things and is dull and boring. Like the majority of people are this way because of the education system.
Yeah, and like the entertainment, just the way the TV is, it's good to laugh at people that have no idea what they're doing. Like, is it Joey Essex that when Keith Lemon asked him what country borders Wales, he thought it was Russia, and when they laughed at him, he said, "Well, I don't look into that." And I thought, this like at the time it was funny, but now I'm thinking, this is what we find entertaining, that people are dumb, so it encourages people to be dumb because I think that will make them popular.
Very much so. And well, yeah, that is what the whole education system is. It's Bucky Fuller gives a very good background to the education system, why it kind of came about, or what he perceives. I don't think it was fully like factual. In what was it, the small one, Operating Manuals for Spaceship Earth, and he just kind of goes, well, basically to stop people learning everything, you teach them to be specialized in one thing. And you restrict what they're allowed to learn and all this kind of stuff. And you end up with the blinkered population that can't see the full picture, whereas there's a few people at the top that can see the full picture and can manipulate it for all it's worth.
Mm.
So, all right, what was you had a question, but I didn't think we answered. Has the old education system killed everybody's current need to learn about an RBE?
Yeah, I think we just went through that.
I probably wouldn't term it as a need, but I know what you mean. I'll get out of the semantic bullshit and just answer the question. Has it? Yeah, probably. There's other things as well, but the education system, especially, he goes over it in TROM a number of times, just taking things on authority, bowing to authority, and just accepting answers and not asking questions, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's really comes down to this. And yeah, there's other systems involved, and we'll get to them in later dates.
I think as well, I find that when I'm learning things, especially like about resource-based economy, climate change, technological unemployment, and behavior, especially behavior, um, it, and this is like outside of the education, I've learned so much from leaving school that like I can see the world differently. It's like every time I learn something new, the world is different, and it's more interesting. I don't know, it's a lot clearer. And even though you can see the bad things coming, like the climate change and the technological unemployment that well, within this system would be tragic, right? I don't know, you can see the solutions as well, and what needs to change and why things are the way they are. So you're less, like one example is, I had a difference of opinion on a musical band on Facebook. Somebody commented that I work with, and it got to a point where at work that it was just a mutual exchange of they were trying to take the piss, and I didn't like it. And normally in that situation, when somebody does that, or like before in that situation, when somebody did that to me, and I thought, you're not big enough to say that to me. Like that's what my personality was like before learning about behaviour and before learning about the resource-based learning, etc. I would have just offered that person out for a fight, but because I'd learned about behaviour, I like managed to control myself a little bit and think about what had caused it. And it was me writing something on Facebook because I was frustrated about a band that I didn't really need to write on Facebook, that had frustrated somebody else, that had frustrated that person, and like I eventually thought, well, I didn't mean to frustrate them by ranting on Facebook, so I went and apologised to them both, and it solved the problem. It was a more peaceful ending. So I think if everybody takes that approach, then it'll be easier to find peace than it will to just fight over trivial things as well. You know what I mean? Then it was just a trivial thing.
That's something I need to get out of, which of using Facebook as a rant slash.
Yeah.
Just, like, I don't know. People are adding me. Random people adding me and stuff. And I'm just like, and sometimes I'm just writing utter shite. And I'm just like, this is something I've never done, but I think I really need to start like just a diary or something for myself where I can just write shit that no one will ever see. I've tried to a few times, but I always like sit down and like, now what do I actually write? Like, I don't know.
I've got one of those diaries and it doesn't work. Like you start writing the diary, you can write in the diary, but then you still post it on Facebook as well. Like you just got to be able to control not posting it on Facebook. And a diary is good, I suppose. Like it gets it out there, but it's the control, and I can't do it. I struggle. I really struggle to stop any rants.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, but I don't know. I've just trying to pull out of basically emotional stuff like that, like when it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's kind of Christopher wrote some stuff, so we should read that out. What is it? Everyone has skills and should be encouraged to use them, which will lead to good community spirits where everyone is treated equally. Damn right. We were educated wrongly because of the current education system. Yes, and we've gone over some of the problems with education. We haven't even mentioned certain things like grouping kids by arbitrary year and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I have a great example that I'll just quickly go into. So this is my master's degree, and they arbitrarily go around the room with 20 people from a whole bunch of different courses, and went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I was in the 2 group or something like that, and we had to do a project which was basically open-ended. As in, we were allowed to vaguely do whatever we want on the theme of the Olympics and the Olympic sailing that was going on near this quarry. So we had to kind of merge quarry stones and sailing boats. It was fucking weird. It's like, what? And we had to use these 6 people and use all their skills equally. Except we got 4 musicians, myself who was a musician / programmer, and one artist, like animator.
Yeah.
And like, what do we do? There was
Yeah.
like, I came up with all I wanted to do for this project was, and this quarry made what's it called? Portland stone, which is you can make like marimbas and xylophones out of the stone. It's a very nice sounding stone. All I wanted to do was make a what's those wind chime? Stick it up on the cliff. There you go. Wind, sails, you know, all that stuff. Like done. Like that, and that would actually make sense with that theme. But then we had to use all these people, and so we ended up getting this crazy stuff with like loads of music, but a tiny bit of V, and just like it was rubbish. And I had to organize this all and try and like, it was just horrible because we were put into these arbitrary groups.
Yeah. Whereas like if I don't know whether it'd be an RV or what, but if we could just do what we wanted with the ideas that we've got. I mean, I think as well, like, was it Neil deGrasse Tyson that says we tell us kids to shut up and sit down all the time when, like, or like, that was something, when a child paints on the wall and somebody kicks off at the child saying, "What have you done that for?" And you think they said, "No, like, let it be, like, it's just a wall." I know it's got a monetary value, but that monetary value is just a concept, like. So let him draw on the wall and even add to it later on in life. You can go, "Well, that was crap, I want to go over it," and then you say, "Right, no worries, we'll paint over that."
I was actually looking this up. I was like fantasizing with my girlfriend about our crazy, amazing house of the future. One wall would be like painted blackboard, so you could chalk it, and one wall would be like you can have magnetized paint, so you can put things that clip on, all that stuff. Like, why do we just use this standard paint that is just boring and does absolutely, it serves no purpose rather than covering?
It's even that bad that people decorate a house and then think to themselves, "Oh, I'm bored of this. Let's paint it, decorate it again."
Yeah. The never-ending like just tasks of little crap that you can do to waste your precious spare time.
But I think it's quite clear that we don't want the same thing all the time. We need change. We enjoy change. We enjoy something different as long as it's something we've created.
Very much.
There's so many restrictions in this society that we can't change much. We can't change where we live that often, or you know what I mean? Like, we can't change what country we live in very often, or the job that we're doing very often. Well, or it's quite hard to get another job because obviously we're being taken, but.
Well, yeah, that's something that's been like, it's been affecting me for a long time. Like, if you know the question, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
I can't answer. I don't want to be one thing.
No, I want to be a lot of things. Renaissance, that's what I want to be.
Is it like, if there are jobs that I want to be for the rest of my life, they haven't been invented yet because it'll be constantly updating. And like, I don't know. The answer probably is me.
Yeah.
But
I want to be an explorer.
Yeah. But like, yeah, that's pretty good because but I don't know. This is the choice that we give our kids when they choose what the GCSEs they want, when they choose what A-level, like all the way through, like the higher education stuff. Like the choice is, what do you want to do for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
And like, the amount of that I've like GCSEs, I didn't do music. I had to beg them to let me do A-level music because I didn't have a GCSE. Then I did that for like a degree just because it was fun, and I knew I wasn't going to get a job out of it, but let's go to uni, let's have some fun. Yeah. And then I was like, at the end of it, I was like, oh shit, I've just wasted a load of money and I haven't got any, like, I'm not going to get a job with this stuff. So like, I ended up having to get a master's in something that was a bit, but again, what I chose the master's a little bit more like job worthy, but it was again just me going, well, the best bit out of my music course was when we started doing a bit of programming and getting like interactive music that could listen to me going like this and start changing crazy stuff. So I was like, well, let's do that. And then I did that, and then I got out of uni and was like, okay, well, screw the music off completely. Let's just learn how to program. And like now I'm here, but like I didn't want to do this for like the rest of my life. Like programming's fun, but I'm bored of it. I've done it for 2.5 years. I'm bored of just this, like, because I do Android thing. Like, I'm just bored of sitting this thing doing all this. So, like, yeah, I'm off to Madagascar for 3 months, and then I come back. I didn't want to. I probably will have to get another programming job because that's something that I could walk into, and I get offered jobs all the time through LinkedIn and stuff like that. Like, not offered jobs, but, there's jobs that you might want to apply for. Bullshit. So I'll probably have to go and do that for a couple of years. But I want to get out. I want to go and do something with my hands, something mechanical, like. But the thing is, I know that this is why I'm not going to go back to uni. Like, so I was thinking, I could go back to uni for 3 years. I'll go back, I'd retrain, and then by the end, I'd be bored of it. I'd want something else.
Yeah,
I'm not going to waste any more money on uni.
I think I've gone through my life, and no matter which job I've had, it's always got, like, you've always got the bad managers or the pain in the ass breaks or something like that, but you just carry on with the job. The only thing that made me want to quit a job or get a new job was because I knew everything about that job. It was boring, and I'd done it for so long, so repetitive and tedious. And I'm thinking now, well, what about the children that are born now, going to go through school for 16 to 18 years and then not have a job at the end anyway?
Yeah. And I think, like, for years we've been relying on pizza delivery boys and, like, all that kind of shit to soak up the kids that come out of uni and at least give them something. But, like, they're so close to being gone. Like, it's unbelievable. There's just not going to be these problems. Like, we're creating a world without shit to shovel.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I think we're getting off track a bit. There's something else, but I don't know. It's getting fairly late, I think. We're starting to talk about jobs and all this kind of stuff, which is coming up soon.
Yeah.
Actually, work is the next week. So yeah, I don't know. Did you have anything else to add, David or Christopher? Christopher, it's another thing. Expansion of the mind and creativity can only happen when an individual thinks for himself and is allowed to. Yeah, and that's what we're going for in resource-based economy, really.
Hello.
Oh, someone said something.
Hello.
David?
Hey.
This is Christopher.
Oh, yeah, Christopher.
Hey.
Hi. Is my voice coming out okay? Sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, I thought I'd unlock my microphone, so I am. When there's too much control of anything in life, then there's no expansion. Everybody is like brainwashed, and no one is allowed to think for himself and have creativity to its fullest level, and everybody is machine brought up,
Yeah, like regimented and set in stone and not allowed to question things. Which is like, I think questioning things is like the key to creativity.
I wonder, actually, this is interesting, because, like, we need to teach kids to question things. Like, we need to teach kids, basically, not to take anyone's word for anything. Like, you got to really do the thing yourself, and then you can say, okay, well, my experience has done something like this. So, I'm wondering whether my early experience with my parents teaching me about Santa and then me learning to disbelieve them has really actually kicked me off to come all the way down here.
Yeah.
Because
like if it wasn't for them saying, like with the Santa, you going, no, there isn't. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I think there's definitely saner ways to tell your kids that you're imperfect, but it's a start. It's an interesting thing that I think has actually kicked me off this way.
I think like we've obviously got to tell them to question everything, but I think we've got to make sure we emphasise that they test. You know what I mean? That they test things for themselves to find out what works or like what is true, and teach them how to find out what is true or what is true at this time.
Exactly. It's like what I found the quote. If the stuff is on Google, why would you stuff it into your head or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we teach kids how to use Google? Because there's a technique to find like things that are relevant. There is a real technique, and you know, there's certain websites for, say, computer programming. There's certain forums that are really good, and there's certain forums that are really crap. And it takes a bit of knowledge to understand like what's good, what's not, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Was there anything else? Otherwise, I'm gonna stop this broadcast from going for a good hour. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. And next week we have part 2.4, 2.5, work and profit. It's only about half an hour of video beforehand, so hopefully we'll get through all that. All right. See you all next week.